There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Good news. Dang it. 8 days in. I needed this. Zoom Diallo, a Kentucky freaking Wildcat. Jack Pilgrim here with Zach Gagan and Jacob Polachek. Very, very excited about this edition. It's one that was the very first player to visit Lexington to begin the post-dead period. Players able to start checking out campuses, and he was Mark Pope's very first visitor. His decision or his visit comes and goes, no official announcement. Mark Pope pivots, flies down to Atlanta, meets with Rob Wright. That whole saga begins, and we saw where this ended with. What are we doing here?
What in
Jacob?
What could possibly be going on?
And he's muted, just like a big dork. Rob Wright
it makes
saga.
me look like I'm not looking at you guys.
Easier
Rob
to read
Wright
the comments that way.
Saga happens. He returns to BYU. Kentucky ultimately pivots very, very quickly and is able to secure not only a commitment but a signature from Zoom Diallo here on the first day of the signing period. Zach Gagan, how excited are you about the addition of Zoom Diallo?
Yes, very excited. It's nice to finally get the ball rolling. Quick little background stuff on Zoom Diallo. 2 years at Washington. Didn't have too much team success over there, but improved his game pretty, not significantly, but at a pretty impressive rate from his freshman year to his sophomore year. 15 points per game last season, like four and a half assists, four rebounds, something around along those lines. The main thing that I'm really excited about this is Zoom Diallo is kind of an immediate upgrade at the point guard position compared to last year's situation, and that is like just right off the bat, right there.
Nobody.
Exactly. So, and that's kind of my point. Like now, as long as he stays healthy, which we have no reason to assume that he won't be healthy, he immediately provides an upgrade at the point guard position for Kentucky. So that's a great building block. You've got him, you've got Malachi locked in. So it's kind of, you've got two starters already kind of filled in right now. But Zoom Diallo does a lot of interesting things. Like, he's not a deadly three-point shooter. He's a little bit on the taller side at 6'4", big mid-range guy. Like, there's like when you watch his game, you'll see a little bit of how he tries to get to his spots, like how Otega Owe did, except the difference is that Zoom Diallo makes his mid-range jumpers. He's actually really efficient at them. I think Brandon Ramsey had a stat that he's like 57% or something like that on his mid-range jumpers last season. I know Bart Torvik has him at like 49% on his outside the paint or outside the rim, inside the three-point line twos. So kind of in that same range. But yes, it's just a really tall guy, a playmaker, can get downhill really fast. I think the defensive side of the ball still has some questions with how much of an impact he can actually provide there. But yeah, he does a lot of things that just Kentucky's point guard position wasn't able to do last season. And he's a great guy to play with from all accounts. If you're a guy that wants to get some easy looks from beyond the arc, he's a good guy to help set you up for that. So yeah, not a guy that you're going to want shooting a bunch of threes. I think 90% of his made threes last season were assisted on. So he's kind of a little bit, he can have some more catch and shoot type vibes to his game with him when he's shooting the three ball, but he can get out in transition. He can score in the paint. I think half of his points last season, actually, I think it's right at half. It is 50.9% of his points last season came in the paint. A lot of that on the mid-range stuff. Not actually like, he's kind of like grades out by Ken Pom as like an average-ish at the rim finisher, maybe a little bit above average. But he's really efficient once he gets inside that arc for the most part. So just provides a different feel from Kentucky's lack of a point guard situation last year. You can feel more comfortable with him running the team and running the offense and help getting guys set up. So now the big thing is you got to surround him with some shooters, get some good shooters around this guy and kind of let him cook and get into the lane and drive and kick and, make it so it's not too clogged with Malachi in the middle there. So yeah, but it's a good first start for Pope to get the ball rolling with his roster. He's got a lot of more spots to fill, but now you can pitch it a little bit easier now that you've got Zoom, you've got Malachi, you could even throw Cam Williams into that mix as well. So good first hit, good first landing spot with Pope getting Zoom here.
Yeah, I really like the 30.3% assist rate that Brandon talked about, matching only John Wall, Tyler Ulis, Ashton Higgins, and Xavier Wheeler. never fails. In terms of Kentucky Wildcats that were able to hit that number on top of the efficiency that he has, 95th percentile as a mid-range scorer. Again, yes, you are banking on his shooting to continue to progress. His freshman year stunk as a three-point shooter. This year, not great, but okay, acceptable in year two, but trending upward, catch and shoot especially, really, really high percentile, very efficient in that regard. So there's a lot to like, and the idea of him is there in a Mark Pope system to progress and be a better shooter and be the best version of himself that's already a very darn good player. Jacob, in terms of getting him to Kentucky, it has been a roller coaster to say the least. The point guard position has been the most polarizing thing on planet Earth since the portal opened for Kentucky. Who was it going to be? The decision to start with Zoom in the official visit, then quickly fly down to Atlanta to meet with Rob Wright, get him on campus. Watch that flip upside down where there's, we go in going, well, there's a lot of conversation about, returning to BYU and that he's just using this for a negotiation tactic, but it seems like Kentucky feels pretty confident that they could close this thing out. Let's see what happens. And then as the visit goes on, Travis Branham was the very first person, to his credit, to acknowledge as negotiations are unfolding in Lexington that things are trending back the other direction. It's like, well, that seems a little funky. And then here we are, not too long after that, it makes it official and decides to return to Provo. Fans panic for 6 hours or so, and then a very quick pivot to Zoom. So your understanding of how things unfolded, the frustration that I heard, at least on my end, that how quick Pope was to pivot from Zoom to Rob Wright, and then how quickly they were to pivot back, and clearly wasn't too upset because it led to a commitment.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it on a minute-by-minute, hour-by-hour basis, it can seem maybe frustrating or confusing about how it all went down, and maybe Zoom may have been turned off by the idea of them pivoting so hard to Rob Wright at the time. But when you look at it in its totality, I was really impressed with how Kentucky handled this. They had their two top point guards on the board with Rob Wright and Zoom Diallo, and they went in going, we need to land one of these guys. The timing of it worked out because you get Zoom Diallo on that first visit. There are obviously some other schools in there, but then Arizona goes and takes two other point guards. So it gives Kentucky some breathing room to go and host Rob Wright for a visit, give Rob Wright the best pitch they can. But as we reported previously, BYU was always a strong destination for him to return to. So when he goes and announces his decision to return to BYU, Kentucky moved very quickly to lock down Zoom Diallo, make sure they had their point guard, and now they have their point guard and their center, two of the most important pieces of this team, and they can look towards building out the rest of the roster.
Zach, to give Pope credit in a time where it doesn't feel like many people have been giving Pope credit for, how he's navigating the recruiting thing and, being savvy with negotiations and things like that. The reporting on the back end of it was that Kentucky came in hot with Zoom in terms of an offer. Aggressive. A number that a lot of schools that I even talked to that were interested in Zoom saw the number, heard the number, and said, not a chance in France. No way. So I do think that Kentucky kind of created a built-in, hey, we're spending X number of dollars on a go-to surefire, this is our guy point guard. And I think scared off a lot of the competition to get to the point where Arizona, yes, they did like him. They didn't like it at the number. And then once Derek Dixon became available and once they were able to get J.J. Maniquit, I think they saw that and said, hey, we can get two for the price of one. We can get some good value here, and pivoted for that. And there really wasn't a lot of competition for Zoom. They really set themselves up high early. The visit wasn't just the best. Every visit you hear the feedback coming out initially is, oh, it was the best visit of all time. This one was more like, it was okay. And then the pivot to Rob happened. It was like, okay, that is a little suspicious. But when you set yourself up so high initially, especially financially, and we're in the world of speed dating where that is ultimately priority number one for a lot of these guys, you kind of set yourself up where you knew that if something were to go wrong with Rob Wright, that Zoom Diallo would be sitting there waiting. So to to his credit, any spookiness on Zoom's side about how things unfolded with Rob, he said, well, your frustrations are getting rewarded in the way of being one of the highest paid point guards in college basketball. You're welcome. So to Pope's credit, he did execute, I think, the plan that he was wanting, getting one of Zoom Diallo or Rob Wright.
Yeah, and if Pope builds a good roster around him and they start winning immediately, like I don't think anything that happened over the weekend is going to matter at all. So, Kentucky had a lot of open roster spots. They had a lot of funds to use. It feels like they were trying to get a little bit more, I don't even know what the word is, but a little more particular with how they spent their money. Like, not doing the overpay thing a little bit like maybe it would have been with last year's team. So, it was maybe a little shocking to see that they had like an offer that just other teams weren't necessarily willing to compete with. But this is kind of like your centerpiece guy. Like this is the guy that you can start building around a little bit with him and Malachi. And like I said, like winning can cure all. So any hard feelings or whatever. And hey, this is also like I think Zoom Diallo probably would have done a similar thing if he was in Pope's situation. Like this is just kind of how it all works. So yes, it did that planned out, that mapped out pretty well. For Mark Pope and all, and how they handled that. So shout out to Mo Williams and Mikhail McLean. It feels like they've been leading the charge on a lot of these recruitments. So nice job with them to close on Zoom. I'm sure Zoom is excited or interested to be able to be coached by Mo Williams as well. So, but I think that Zoom he's got a lot of tools that you can talk yourself into pretty quickly, actually, of being like a real high level SEC type point guard. And I just go back to the fact that he can pass and dribble at a level that no one in the backcourt really could do last season. So just immediately from that standpoint, he's an upgrade at that position.
Well, and if you just think of the math of it, Brandon Ramsey, the analytics show that he can be a better version of Otega Oweh, and Otega Oweh was the highest paid player on the roster last season. And if you're just doing the math that he could potentially be slightly better than Otega Oweh, an all SEC player, you know what? Invest in that guy. That guy is going to win you some basketball games next season. So for those reasons, I am unbelievably excited for Zoom. Cost aside, how it all unfolded aside, Zoom's a hell of a basketball player, and I think he's going to be unbelievably productive at Kentucky. In terms of what is next, Jacob, I think Donnie Freeman is, priority number one to come off the board. The feedback coming out of that visit was very good. That is one that we could potentially be on boom watch. Any updates with that one? And there was some talk about a UConn visit. Do you have any updates on where things stand with the post-Lexington, Kentucky momentum, and how close are we to a commitment there?
Yeah, the post-visit feedback has been very positive for Kentucky. I'm hearing that the visit went very well, and you hear this all, like you talked about, Jack. You hear this all the time. When does a visit ever go poorly? But this one, I heard very, very strong feedback that Donnie really liked Kentucky, and Kentucky set themselves up in a good position to close. That's not necessarily saying that they will close on this one, but I like their positioning post-visit, and now we're just watching for, is he going to take more visits? What's going to happen next? And if they can lock down Donnie Freeman, that will really add to this momentum that they've gotten from today's commitment.
Yeah, absolutely. And I saw there was first comment, I think, was one that fans definitely want to know. I want to get your thoughts on this as well. To Zoom Diallo's commitment, Tyron Stokes was in the comments saying "my brudda" in response. Any thoughts on his brudda committing to University of Kentucky as a former prolific prep high school? Is it high school?
Academy, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, whatever.
High school.
Prolific prep.
Prep school.
Former teammate of his at the high school level. We'll go with that one. Anything to that?
I mean, a Zoom Diallo commitment definitely does not hurt Kentucky's pursuit of Tyron Stokes. I think that Kentucky has made up ground that we talked about heading into the visit, but Kansas is still right there. So I'm still watching Kansas in this one, but Kentucky is not going away. They are going to be fighting for this commitment until he signs with another school or he signs with Kentucky.
Yeah, so just the feedback on both leaving that visit yesterday was that Kentucky, their understanding is he still wanted to see how the roster decisions were going to unfold. They, to their knowledge, that a commitment had not been made, that he didn't, pivot back elsewhere, go to Kansas, to another school, whatever, that he was still wide open, wanting to see how the dominoes were going to fall on Kentucky's side and on Kansas' side. On Kansas' side, optimism a little bit louder. I think they were a little giddy leaving Kentucky, the Kentucky visit. Some internal optimism on their side that's going to get pushed across the finish line. So I think that's just something that their confidence is a little louder than Kentucky's confidence right now. So that's definitely something to monitor. Today, the first day of the signing period. So that's something to keep in mind. He is technically able to pop for anybody and be announced by either school or any school if he wants to pivot from there. So we will see where that goes. Anything that you want to see here, Zach, coming up here in the next couple days? Got the first domino to fall. We'll see what happens with Donnie Freeman. That feels like the next one to fall. It could happen, while we're doing this show. I mean, that one definitely feels closer than any of the others. But any other visits that you're watching, any other guys that are popping is, hey, I want whatever happens, I want that guy to be a Kentucky Wildcat.
Yeah, it definitely feels like Freeman's trending in the right direction. We talked about him on the last little rapid direction or whatever video we did, where he was former McDonald's All-American, has the connection with McLean from the Bahamas team, the foot injuries, but he's like an athletic freak, can be a two-way type guy, not like a great shooter. So I am curious to see how that all kind of works out. If they do land Freeman and he kind of plugs in as one of your starters, you're going to have three guys with Zoom, Donnie Freeman, and Malachi, who, I mean, you would probably group in Freeman and Diallo as like a little bit below average 3-point shooters, and then Malachi, unless he decides to start shooting them, he's just a non-shooter. So that'll be interesting to see how that kind of all works, because that's not exactly what you picture in your head with a Mark Pope offense. But another guy that I am keeping my eye on, after watching some of his film and doing a bio blast on him today, is the Colorado transfer, Sebastian Rancic, I think is how you say his last name.
Rancic.
Slovakian. His dad played Slovakian. His dad played at Iowa State. He's like a big legend over there. But that guy is like a 6'10", mobile, athletic, fluid, like can make really good playmaker, get into the lane and make passes at the rim. Like can shoot the ball a little bit too. Like he's got some serious like you picture him in a Mark Pope offense a little bit easier than you do a Donnie Freeman. So if Kentucky can find a way to get him on campus, I think that would be awesome, because he's someone that
he's on campus right now, right?
Yeah,
he's here right now.
Oh, there you go.
Today,
that's right. Yeah, he canceled his Indiana visit. Yeah, canceled his Indiana visit. That's right. And replaced it with the Kentucky one. So he's the guy that I'm definitely keeping a close eye on, because I think he fits what Mark Pope is trying to do a little. It's a cleaner fit. You can kind of see it, and he'd be a great. You could put him at the 4. I don't know how he would work with Freeman. Do you play Freeman at the 3? I don't really know if that's something that Pope is considering, or maybe Rancic is a backup, or I don't know how that would all play out. But from what we've seen, Pope likes to play a lot of guys, so I'm sure that wouldn't be too much of a worry of like who starts in what position and whatnot. But he's a very interesting player, because he's skilled and talented and tall. He can pass, dribble, and shoot at 6'10", and those are the players you like.
I think it's a perfect comp of Freeman closer to a Mo Diabate, and Yelovich being the comp with Rancic. Like I think those, if you're just looking, hey, you need 2 4s. We saw this season how 2 4s work on this roster and in this system, and ideally you upgrade both positions. That would be a massive win on Kentucky's part, and I think it's possible. And again, I'm a Andrei Yelovich stan, but I do think that there's a lot to like about Rancic and his production and just the fit with the Mark Pope offense. So we will see where that unfolds. I need Jacob. Give me some good news on Alex Wilkins. That's one that I'm a big Alex Wilkins fan. Give me the news that he's visiting, that he is trending toward a commitment. I need something with that one. Give it to me.
Hey, Dylan Ballard. I mean, Kentucky's made him a priority. They haven't gone out to go. They haven't flown out Mark Pope to go see a lot of players. And so Pope flew out over the weekend to go visit with Alex Wilkins in his hometown of South Carolina. And they're planning a visit. We don't have an exact date on when that will occur, but I expect that to be sometime this week. And the other schools that are competing with him, I believe it's Kansas, Alabama, Syracuse, and UConn. So those are 4 other schools that are involved in that recruitment. And I think he could fill a good spot next to Zoom Diallo. Not exactly a knockdown shooter, but he was a really good scorer at Furman, and he's young. He was a freshman last season, so he's got multiple years of eligibility left, and we saw last year that Pope was emphasizing that. So he's a really interesting player who's got some good schools after him, but his recruitment has remained pretty quiet up to this point.
And if I can butt in real quick on that, CBB Analytics, the website I've been using a lot lately to try and get some advanced stats and stuff, the second most comped player to Zoom Diallo is Alex Wilkins. So make of that what you will.
What do you think that means, Zachary?
I think Pope is identifying a similar type of archetype player. A guard who can get his way into the paint and pass, dribble, and shoot.
I like
probably
that.
not play a little bit of defense, actually. So,
hey, only positives on this show. We've been too negative. As a fan base, we only need positives. Jalen Cox on campus right now. Jacob?
Should be starting his visit tonight, or already started his visit at some point tonight.
Big fan of Jalen Cox as the backup point guard. I think he fits a perfect niche role that was missing so desperately this past season. Mason Williams also could be that guy, kind of a, whoever, cream rises to the top at that backup point guard role. I wouldn't, shut down either of them for that. But, the only interesting feedback that I've had on Jalen is that, his dollar figure has eclipsed the 7-figure mark, that he's a $1 million backup point guard to the best team available. So that is something that to keep in mind. What do you think of that fit, and where do you think, same with his recruitment, do you think Kentucky Kid could land PG2?
Turn to me or Zach?
I want you, Jacob.
Okay. I think that Kentucky has an interesting selling point. I know that Cox is a player that could see himself as a starter and is getting some looks as a starter, but because of the way Kentucky plays, because of how Pope runs his rotations, even coming in as a backup point guard at Kentucky can get you some real minutes that makes you look like a starter and really gives you that shine. So I don't see that as being a huge concern. Assuming that this visit can go well, I like where Kentucky stands, but there's also some other schools that are vying for his commitment. I believe he just visited Creighton. So some schools are after him. And a lot of his recruitment will depend on just how this visit goes, what kind of role do they pitch for him, and as always, what kind of NIL figure they're giving him.
Well, with that, with the 2,700 people we have watching this show, thank you so much for joining us. It's a big one. It's a big celebratory show. We are very grateful for Zoom Diallo's commitment. It was a lot of fun to be able to just get the first big domino to fall. Let's get some momentum. Yesterday, just the watching things unfold with the visit and how things started today, it sucked. I did not enjoy it. Let's just be only positive this point forward. We get back to the good vibes of the Banner Boys and getting the excitement with all the visits and stuff like that. So all 2,700 people of you, make sure you like and subscribe to this video right now. But more importantly for us right now, go subscribe to KSR Plus, where we talk about all these guys in depth and share what we know about their recruitments and such. So I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Any parting words from either of you guys about what you want to see here over the next couple of days as we inch, I think, 6 days away from the portal closing?
Well, how many pieces do we think they need to add? What's the number if you account for the 3 returners that are already announced with Trent, Cam, and Malachi? Then you have Zoom and Mason Williams. Are we penciling in Reese Potter and Braden Hawthorne to that as well? And then where does that leave you in terms of roster spots? How many spots are we looking to fill in here?
Do we just get... Oh, hey, we have breaking news before we end this show.
Oh, you're kidding me.
Reese Potter.
Okay.
Reese Potter, welcome home.
All right.
Don't scare me like that, Jeff.
Welcome
I thought we were
home.
about to-
So yes, we can continue talking about different death pieces. Reese Potter is officially back at Kentucky.
Okay.
He was very open about just. I talked to him in the locker room at the end of the season. He was like, "Yeah, I'm not going anywhere. I'd love being here. This has been an absolute vibe. Hanging out with Kentucky. Going from Miami of Ohio. It is ironic that Miami had it's just that historic season and how they were the national baby darlings all season long. And his first year out, he's at Kentucky where the season was what it was. But he's like, dude, this is awesome. I get to play against future pros and develop and make pretty darn good money here at Kentucky. So Reese Potter is back officially, sticking where he belongs as a Kentucky Wildcat, Lexington native. Zachary, what do you make of that return?
Good for him, I guess. I mean, yeah, that's awesome. I mean,
happier about our boy Reese.
Is he going to be playing real minutes? I think that's the real question. Like, is he redshirted all last year? So I don't think he intends to come and sit on the bench all season long again. I mean, maybe he does. Maybe that's kind of his prerogative and what he just wants to be playing for Kentucky and all that. But is he going to be playing real minutes? What can he provide? I don't really know. It'll be interesting to see kind of where Pope looks at in terms of a backup center, because they are going to need one. Is it Reese Potter or is he the third stringer? They go get somebody else after that. But I don't have real huge thoughts on Reese Potter. It's just nice to have a guy that wants to be here. I guess similar to what we were talking about with Trent the other day, like, a guy that could go somewhere else and play more minutes. And Reese Potter was doing that at Miami and left, so he could come sit on the bench at Kentucky. So I do think there's some value in that and having some locker room leadership and just guys that genuinely want to be here and can help the whole, this is how Kentucky operates, blah, blah, blah type thing. So, it's welcome back, Reese. Good to have you here, buddy. Fellow Lexington native.
There we go. Jacob. Speaking of Lexington natives, I'm hearing that there's going to be news dropping at some point very soon on Jasper Johnson. And it's not going to be Alabama, and it's not going to be Arkansas, but I'm not going to tell you who.
Kentucky. Is it going to be Kentucky?
No, it's not going to be Kentucky. But it's going to be a sneaky surprise school in the SEC potentially. I don't think he's going very far in the conference. But what are you expecting, Jacob Polachek, with Jasper Johnson's departure? Are you scared to face him in the SEC? Please say yes. We don't want to put that into the ether that you're underestimating him because he will go for 30 in your name.
Jasper does feel like the kind of guy that's going to go for 30 against Kentucky. Like, I mean, is there anyone that's not expecting that? Like, he's gonna hit like 8 threes against Kentucky, have his greatest career game, and I'm rooting for Jasper. Maybe not against Kentucky, but I'll be rooting for him next season.
Who is more dangerous, Zach, before we get out of here? Who is more dangerous, Alabama with BG or fill in the blank with Jasper Johnson, both in the SEC?
Brandon Garrison's dropping a triple-double on Kentucky next season. No doubt about it. That one's happening. He's going to see the blue like he's a bull at seeing the red cape or whatever it is. So, but yeah, I'm excited. I am a big Jasper Johnson fan. So, I will be cheering him on wherever he goes. And if he happens to drop 30 on Kentucky, then hey, as long as Kentucky wins, I don't really care.
Well, there you go. There you have it. Hopefully we don't get off and there's more breaking news. But if so, we'll just jump back on here and keep yapping. It's a lot of fun. So for Jack, for Zach, for Jacob, appreciate you guys tuning in. Hopefully more celebratory rapid reaction /sources say / here comes a boom / Zoom action.
I didn't even make my Zoom action joke with Zoom. Oh my gosh! Hey, coming soon to a YouTube channel.
Restart this?
Yeah, let's shut it down, Steven. But yes, we will be doing a Zoom action soon. If I can self-plug, we'll be doing a Zoom action over Zoom, probably on Thursday or Friday. So look out for that on the KSR YouTube. Very
excited for us. Like, subscribe, all those things. Go subscribe to KSR Plus, and we will see you next time. Go Cats.